Now that we have a signed contract in here, Katrina, we can go ahead and generate the rest of the documents.
Great.
Production is going to be really grateful if we could send them over a material order sheet automatically.
Yes.
Labor summary, maybe even a total job summary report, just to see what kind of margins are going to be on this job.
Mm-hmm.
So let's take a look at all of these. Start with the material order document. And then when you open up the material order document, you'll get to see all of the individual material items and their quantities. Most importantly, notice here that the Cedar Crest impact resistant ridge at 195 feet automatically rounds up to 10 bundles.
Wonderful.
It takes into account your coverage ratios, so you don't have to spend time calculating how many linear feet of hip and ridge, how many bundles you're going to need of that, how many linear feet of starter, how many bundles you're going to need of that. RoofSnap's going to do that automatically for you, calculating how many boxes, rolls, bundles of each item that you need, rounding up based on those coverage ratios.
Great.
You're going to see the line item pricing here and an image of each product, but don't worry, document settings are a place where you can turn those off if it's too much detail for what you want to send to your distributor.
Mm-hmm.
Final total of the material here at the bottom also is going to calculate your sales tax, and this is something that you can set up as well. Tax on materials only at whatever tax rate that is appropriate for your region, for your market. In coming back over to the documents page, let's tap on the plus button again and go ahead and generate that labor summary report. This one's going to be very similar to your material order report. Let's go ahead and open that up. This is going to break down the labor that you're going to be paying to your crew. Whether or not you negotiate that labor with your crew on the front end or on the back end, you'll be able to compare what your actual labor costs are with what your estimated labor costs are, and of course make adjustments in RoofSnap accordingly. This is going to break down, so for example, we're giving an extra $100 to the crew for that chimney flashing kit, $20 a square for the remove and disposal, an extra 25 cents for that high-end impact resistant ridge, $2 a foot for that closed valley, and another $70 per square for the install of those shingles.
Great.
Comes up to about $3,000 in labor. Coming back to the documents page one last time, I want to show you the summary report. This document can be generated at the tail end, but for some companies it also makes sense for the salesman to generate the summary report even before they give the customer a contract. And I want to show you why. The summary report is going to break down the estimated cost of the job with regard to its contract price. In this particular sample office here, we actually have the salesman, me, Jason, set up to incur a 10% overhead cost right off the top. You can adjust that at the user level. So if you have some salesmen where you want to have an overhead apply versus others that you wouldn't want to have an overhead apply, you can set those independently from each one. It's then going to calculate out that overhead and give you the net price. It's going to figure in your total labor, total material, taxes, which for our example here we have taxes just on material, and then the total job cost. Finally, down here at the bottom, taking into account the overhead and all the costs, it's going to show that we're a 28.22% gross margin with a $5,200 profit on the job. Now we're getting into the weeds a little bit here, but what I wanted to point out specifically is that the gross profit on this job is about $5,200, 28.22% gross margin. Now the commission here at 35%, this is something I wanted to get into. So you can set your salesman's commission one of two ways: as a percentage of the gross margin or as a percentage of the total contract amount. And then at whatever percentage you see fit based on that arrangement you have with your salesperson. So I have mine set up as a 35% commission based on gross profit, giving that total company profit and total company gross margin here at the bottom. This 28.22% gross margin, so this is the one to look at if you're using the summary report even before you generate a contract for the customer. If you have certain goals that you have to hit when you sell a job, typically it can be like a 30% gross margin or a 25% gross margin or whatever your sales management has specified. So checking out this gross profit on the job even before you get a signed contract is one way to make sure that the job's going to reach those goals and be nice and profitable even before you commit to a signed contract.
Wonderful.